one of the most fun times that I've had over the last 2 months was when you invited me to a F1 race in Vegas, and it was fantastic. And not many people know, but I'm a mechanical engineer, and so this was one of my dreams to sort of ever work in that garage. Obviously, life took a different path, and here we are. I think, and that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about, because when you go to an F1 garage, it's not just the mechanical stuff, but it's the engineering, the AI, and all that. But before we go there, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and introduce Akkodis as well? And why is it different than any other IT service provider?
Yeah, so I think you are very much, different. And this to sugar. This the you know. Yes, this and yes. It's on.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, sorry. So good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, so name is Debecker. I'm actually the president and CEO of Akkodis. We're still working a little bit on our brand equity and our presence and our name in the industry. We're actually not small. We're a 4 billion euro company, 50,000 engineers. And our mission in life is actually to accelerate the innovation of our clients. So we're really focused on engineers and putting engineers in the business process of our clients. So for instance, we are designing planes, we are designing cabins. For those who flew in, via an A350, you need to know that the fuselage was designed by us, as an example. We're big in the automotive industry, so we do full vehicle development for many of the European brands. We're also doing kind of patient medical records and submission of, new medicines towards the FDA in healthcare and life science. And that's just a few examples. So accelerating the innovation of our clients by actually injecting engineering talent into their organization, into their business, is basic to do.
Fantastic. So
We'll go to talk.
and those are some, what we, BMW, the automotive sector, our slide, I think that we keep in high regard, absolutely, of innovation. But when you sort of take that into the context of today's conversation, on GCCs and the India context, when people call you up, what is the problem that they're trying to solve?
So basically, Saurabh, when people call us, then usually they are reaching a little bit of a limit of the value they get out of their services and out of their GCC. And so they want to move away from, I would say, classical efficiency kind of KPIs, measuring throughput, quality, cost, side, and really want to build an engineering capability, out of their GCC. And so move away from those traditional KPIs into measuring, functionality, feature sets, time to market, etc. And so, in other words, how can we, move our GCC from an efficiency-driven center to becoming almost the engineering brain of the company? And that is kind of the question we would like to ask, or the questions we get and we would like to ask some of our clients, is how can we basically make that switch? I'm not saying that IT centers are not value creators, but the difference between engineering and IT is, in engineering, you sit alongside the process. You're supported by process, people, tools, applications. In engineering services, you are in the process. Actually, you are the business. So we are the business experts. We not only are capable and understand the business, but we are the experts. And it's our experts into their business that actually make the difference. And that is kind of the difference between, I would say, classical IT and digital and a classical engineering is basically the kind of vertical knowledge and the industry knowledge we need to have, on behalf of our clients.
How can you bring us to life with either a client example, a hypothetical or named, whatever you can share, on how an engineering-led GCC sort of looks different than a GCC?
I'll give you an example of a leading airplane manufacturer in Europe. I cannot say that is very difficult to get exactly. So our engagement with them started with saying, okay, why don't we build kind of a plane simulation software? So it started with a classical embedded application and simulation software development project, which then evolved into, why don't you go ahead and support it? Then why don't you provide the people to run the simulation? And for this airplane manufacturer, Saurabh, their biggest challenge is to produce enough aircraft. They've got a mega order book, and so they need to produce 800 aircraft per year. And so their biggest challenge is not supply chain optimization, but resilience. So they've got several vendors that are building, the wings, the engines, the kind of electrical engineering inside. And so they've got all these configurations that come together and they are assembling the plane. Now, of course, every plane is different. Every plane needs to be actually approved by the FAA. We built a software where you can put the configuration in it, and you can, instead of having a physical pilot testing the plane, our simulation software will test the plane. And so basically we started building the software, supporting the software, providing the engineers to run the process. And now actually we took the entire thing over. So now they give the configuration to us. We run the complete simulation. We have an FAA compliant set of engineers that can basically deliver those planes to the airline business. And so you see, we're actually part of the business, we're into the business, and we're actually at the heart and at the center of creating value for this client, because their time to market and their annual report, the first thing they mentioned in terms of things at Ilium. So here you can need to see the kind of added value from optimizing the process to running the process to owning the result. And that's typically what an engineer type of GCC.
So it's not a support function, it's actually the core.
It is a core business itself. You're in the business. That's why I'm saying you're not kind of knowing the business process, you're the expert of the business. This client comes to us, and it's an airplane manufacturer, to ask questions around how to build an airplane, because we are the specialist.
So you, I think, get it now for aircraft manufacturer and automotive, all of our manufacturing companies. But we are seeing banking, the insurance, services, and oriented industries becoming very, very interested in engineering services.
Yes.
So why is that?
So I've got my own theory, Saurabh. I think, first of all, the world of core engineering and the world of digital IT actually is coming together. And so let's take automotive as an example. Nowadays, a car, a lot of the physical engineering of a car is finished. If you would talk to the Chinese, they would tell you a car is a skateboard, need the batteries. And so what makes the car different is going to be around the software. And so software-defined vehicle, the automated driver assistance system, is becoming the key differentiator for cars. And you'll see that the world of engineering, which was traditional physical engineering and testing of cars, and the world of software and digital IT is actually coming together. And that's why we build software-defined vehicles, kind of battery technology, etc. So the world of IT and engineering and the world of the world of IT and the world of engineering it's actually coming together. And so this is, for me, a natural evolution in terms of, what is the next step for these companies? What is to have their IT and digital world to run in order? The next step for them is basically to go and attack the engineering side. So it's a natural evolution from IT into engineering. And I think we should not underestimate the role of AI, because AI is kind of pushing the companies, into what is the next, how can we create and build more value with our GCC? How can GCC, and we talked about it already here on stage, become almost like the brain of the company? In my case, the engineering brain of the company should become basically kind of the GCC. So my view would be is one day you will open, our new box of iPhone. It will no longer say engineered in California, manufactured in China or India, but it will say engineered in India and manufactured in India. And so that is kind of where the industry is going.
So you think, what's your opinion? Because we are in India, in Bangalore once, with both as a Akkodis CEO and president, but as a broad country as well, because India is known for IT services.
Yes.
Right. So what's your perspective on India and the future?
Well, so I'm really a big fan of India. I used to run a big part of a big Indian company, and I think India's got all the ingredients. And I think we mentioned it before. I don't think AI is a threat to GCC and to India. It's actually the opportunity for India and GCCs to take the next step. And I can clearly see that. I mean, one is India is basically, kind of educating and having so many IT engineers and digital engineers a year, but also core engineering is a core competence of India. We're sitting here in Bangalore. Bangalore used to be, it still is, an aviation hub. So I think India's got all the cards to not only be, specialist in classical GCC's IT services, but also to become also the engineering hub and brain of the world, and not just the IT and the digital hub. So I see it very much as an opportunity. I don't see any other country right now ready, capable, and able to claim the pole position than India.
Interesting. So, how is AI changing engineering itself?
Right.
Obviously, is it accelerating it? Is it because so far, as you mentioned, engineering and IT are coming together. I would say engineering, IT, and business are coming together.
That's right.
But what's been the impact of AI on engineering services?
Very similar to, I would say, digital and any other services. In that, we have AI, we have agentic AI, and basically, more and more elements of the classical engineering workflow, particularly talking about workflows and getting the workflows in order further, is going to be completely automated and taken over by AI agents. What is different for engineering is the deep vertical expertise and knowledge you need to have. That is going to be different, I believe, than a classical digital and IT GCC. And I think what is also quite important is the concept of human in the loop or human in the lead. Somebody mentioned today, I really like that, human in the lead. Because of course, the example I gave around software simulation for planes, it has to be by an official FAA accredited person. So, what's going to happen on the engineering process is they say in German, Vertrauen is gut, aber Kontrolle ist besser. Kind of confidence in the process is good, but control is better. And so in the engineering process, there will always be a human in the loop and a certain control point. At the beginning, lower level processes will be automated. The confidence will become there and trust in terms of the output. And then the control point will go into next level and next level and next level. And that is actually happened with, IT and digital a lot. And with engineering, we're going, in the same mood where, more and more agentic processes literally takes it over end to end. But the human in the loop and the control point for engineering is quite important. I'll give you an example. MRI scans. If you talk to this physician today, she will agree that AI can now much better interpret MRI scan than. But if you are a patient, would you be willing to undergo surgery based on a result of an automated and AI-enabled MRI scan, or do you maybe want to have the human in the loop, double checking what this guy said?
Not just in the loop, I'd rather have him or in the lead.
Exactly. And the same is true on stepping on a plane, sitting in a car. So there will always be a human in the lead eventually. And I think that's a quite important point specific for highly regulated environments and industries like defense, aviation, and even the car industry.
So I understand the human in the lead or human in the loop, however we look at it.
Yes.
But overall, do you expect the overall talent pool over the next 3-4 years to come down, stay flat, to go up?
I don't have a crystal ball, but I think it will stay flat to increase. I think new roles will be created. Our mother group is called Debecker, and they did a very interesting analysis of introduction of a new technology on the x-axis over months, and on the y-axis, the number of people that have lost their job or gained a job or had to change their job. And this is Adecco, they're the leader in camp labor. And they mapped things like a laptop introduction, PC, internet, smartphones. I mean, we all believe that with the internet, retail will be gone. We see the laptops, we no longer need clerks and admins. But in fact, what happened was it created more jobs over time. They're mapping the same thing with AIs. Despite of what everybody's saying, it is following the same course than any of the other technologies that I've mentioned. And all these technologies eventually has disrupted an industry, but not constructed jobs. And my personal belief is the same will happen with AI, and specifically on the engineering side. There is so much to fix on the engineering side, enough work to do.
So you're a glass half full.
I'm an optimist in life. Your optimism is a model that it's
So if we say look ahead 2 or 3 years, what will GCCs look like? Right? What kind of work or decisions will GCCs be taking in 2 or 3 years as engineering services, AI starts to get more embedded? And as you mentioned, IT, engineering, yes, business sort of all meshed together into one.
So, like I said before, it is kind of my lean vision and belief that engineering end-to-end processes will be completely done by GCCs. And so the example I gave, if you will unbox a new product, it could be an iPhone, could be anything else, and it will be engineered in a GCC, produced in a GCC, and really at the end-to-end, owned by the GCC. I think that's one thing. Secondly, I believe that GCCs will become not the heart, maybe the heart, but for the brain of many product and services lifecycle and innovation of companies.
That's a fantastic note. But before I end, any questions from the audience for you? I have one. If nobody asks a question, any questions?
In cars, work at the to the beginning. That's worth it.
Thank you for this very informative session. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, you are. I would speak loud enough.
Thank you. Okay, I'll try. Very informative session. Thank you. Found it very interesting. I love the fact that engineering services becoming the core of the business and becoming part and parcel of the coming within the system rather than being the ecosystem of it. I think one of the questions I'd really be interested in hearing your viewpoint is how do you see the operating models changing as per that? And how do you see the commercial models changing in these kind of service artifacts?
It's actually a very good question because when your GCC becomes the engineering brain, it requires a couple of changes. Number one, you need to start measuring different things in real business KPIs. The example I gave on the planes, I can give examples of submission of new medicaments. I can give the example of cars. So the governance is totally different, and you measure different things. No longer classical efficiency KPIs, but really business value KPIs, time to market, features, and all that. So number one, it's a governance change.
Sure.
It also requires different talent. Industry specialization and verticalization is becoming more important. And the other change that it will trigger is it's actually a cultural change as well. So my clients, our clients, need to be willing to hand over the decision right and almost the keys of the kingdoms to us and to the GCCs. And so that is a complete mentality change that is required for this make it up. So it's people, it's governance process, it's capabilities. That's all doable. The big one is culture change. Culture has strategy for breakfast, as they say. So the cultural change in the company, I think that's going to be the biggest challenge.
Fantastic. You, as always, yes. Thank you very much, pleasure. Like, thank you so much. Thank you.